Here we go. Welcome to the premiere of Game Changers, the show that's going to change your mind about what's really going on in the world of sports here in South Florida. And we've got just the guys here to change your mind because they always change their mind on how they feel about what's going on in sports. First, to my immediate
That's
right.
Not right.
Already taking a shot.
Right.
Took him 30 seconds to get his
it's
first
true.
dig.
It's true.
Read
It's
your
true.
scripts. We'll do the hard work.
Ain't no
over
scripts here.
Be my
Come
guest.
on. To my right, the voice of reason because he has done it all, former Miami Dolphin, Mr. Kim Bokamper. And of course, I'm the host, Jim Barry. I am the voice of wisdom because I have seen it all. And then we have
Here it comes.
And then we have Mike Cunio. He's just the voice. Okay?
I'm
and
just here.
You know, that's right. And you know how it is with him, Kim. If it didn't happen before 1995, it didn't happen.
Yeah. You know, your diaper's kind of pulling out of your pants. I put it back in there a little bit. Now let's get back to the business of doing the show. All right.
All right. Now that we've taken shots at everybody here.
Oh, don't worry. I'm just.
I know. You're throwing it all up. I hear you.
Yep.
Hey, we cannot take a shot at the Dolphins for making that trade for cornerback Jalen Ramsey. That was a big-time move. Ramsey, of course, one of the best in the business, and along with Xavier Howard in that defensive backfield, listen, the Dolphins right away could have the best secondary in the entire NFL. Mike, I love this move.
I do too. It's another sign that Chris Greer is in that go for it now mode. I think you have an opportunity now contractually where you're not paying a quarterback a whole lot of money, so you can kind of spread the wealth with that.
Which I think is smart.
It's very smart, and also gives Vic. How about if you're Vic Fangio? You come in, and you're like, oh, this is the toolbox I get to work with.
Yep.
Of course, it's going to be great.
You know what I'm happy about?
Yeah.
I'm happy that I don't got to wonder every week if Byron Jones is going to play again or not. We know that's a done deal now.
Yeah.
It's gone. Don't need you anymore. We got a new cornerback in town. We got a new sheriff in town. You can go off somewhere else.
My, Mr. Bokamper, how do you really feel?
That's how I feel.
Wow.
Look, the guy didn't play. The guy should have been able to play last year. He played.
He said he couldn't run or jump because of the injuries that stayed in the NFL, Cam. You can relate.
Yeah, okay. We'll see what he does this year. He's on some team. He's running around there.
Well, okay. So, but to your point, I think because the injuries had piled up throughout the year, you were just always wondering about whether Byron or Jones could come back. So it magnifies
from the time he got hurt. All we heard is he's going to be ready for training. He's going to be ready for mini camp.
Yeah.
He's going to be ready for the off-season program. He's going to be ready for the start of training camp. He's going to be ready for the beginning of the season. He's going to be ready for week 4. He's going to be ready for week 8.
We get the point.
There you go.
All right. Well, one guy the Dolphins do believe will be ready is their quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa. And look, they have invested another year in Tua. The big question was, well, first of all, whether or not he's going to be healthy enough to play. But then we wondered if the Dolphins would be willing to invest that extra year, that fifth-year option. Kim, they decided, yes, they are going to do it. I do think, though, this is as much about economics as it is about faith in Tua.
Well, I think you're right, Jim, because when you look at the contract and the situation, had he been able to go out in free agency or do something, the numbers would be around $30 or $40 million. That seems to be the number for these quarterbacks. They're getting him for $23 million. Which is I think it's 23 or 26, so that's a bargain.
That's crazy.
And
if
you can extend that during the season, if he's playing well, and you can extend it during the season, you can get his salary into a more reasonable area over the length of a contract. And I think that's a great move by the organization. And I think Chris Greer pulling this one off did a good job.
They brought in Mike White, the South Florida kid, as the backup quarterback. I have to tell you, I am overall concerned about the quality of the quarterback position with the Dolphins because as I look at the rest of this team, man, I think everything else looks really set. But if, God forbid, if Tua does go down again, do we really believe that Mike White is the guy who can be the Brock Purdy of this team and moving forward, Mike?
Well, that's the thing. You're not going to find another starting quarterback to back up your quarterback. So you have to go out and get the best available. But that was lucky. I mean, they got lucky with Brock Purdy. He was the last pick in the draft. I don't know if that's by design. I think that might be more systematic system working there in San Francisco.
Maybe I'm just being paranoid.
He may be the Jeremy Lin of the NFL. Maybe one of those kind of things. You get about 6 or 7 good games, and then you make a heck of a lot of money.
You need a good backup point guard.
But look, I like the guy coming down here. I think he's an upgrade. over Teddy Bridgewater.
Teddy,
Teddy was there, and
he flamed out.
So good. So you move on to a younger guy, and then you got another guy that's younger. So you got two young guys that are going to compete. They're going to compete every day in practice.
Right.
And it's going to make each one of them better. In turn, it's going to make them better, and it's going to make the backup quarterback situation better. What's going to make this backup quarterback situation better is if Tua stays healthy and see what he can do all year long. And I'm glad that they've got him under wraps, under contract, and knows what's ahead of him.
My man Chris Broussard said that right now the Miami Dolphins are the best team in the AFC East. That's what my man Chris Broussard said. And you know what? More often than not, Chris Broussard knows what he's talking about. He was the first guy who said, by the way, that LeBron James was coming to South Florida. So I think he's got a point. I think the Dolphins have great balance. I like the fact that they're bringing back a lot of guys who showed well last year, showing faith in them, not just Tua, but also Raheem Mostert, also Jeff Wilson. And I think Mike McDaniel saying, you know what, I believe in you guys. I also believe that you guys are going to get better next year. And there is something to be said, I think, for having some continuity on your football team and for showing the rest of the guys that, you know what, if you do perform and play well, there is a reward for you.
There's also something to say about all those guys coming back. They're coming back because they like Mike McDaniel.
That's true.
That's something that, usually when you see a situation like this and comes a free agent, the rats are jumping off the ship at any offer they can get.
Yeah.
These guys are saying, no. I'll come back. I want to be here. I think we've got the team. I think we've got a place to go. I think we're in the window. Let's go ahead and do it. And I think that says, much like you had Wes Welker coming over, much like you had Sam Madison coming over here as coaches.
Yeah.
They wanted to be with
here.
Mike McDaniel, and I think we're seeing it with the players.
Dolphins are becoming a destination. Yep. And also they bring in a former Braxton Berrios to help with special teams.
I like him.
That was a problem last year for
Keep our two big wide receivers off the punt return and kick return duties, right?
Amen, brother. All right, we got more to talk about our game changers. As we get back, we're going to switch gears and talk about some hoops. You see the form? I still got it. Yeah.
I think that bounced off the backboard.
No, baby. That was sweet. March Madness is in town. Can the Canes make a serious run? They went to the Elite Eight last year. Can they go even farther this year? We'll talk about that more when Game Changers comes right back. Oh, it is that time of the year where if you're a basketball fan, you have to love it. March Madness and the University of Miami basketball Canes are a big part of it. They are back in the big dance. Their first game is Friday against Drake. The Canes seeded 5th this year, going against Drake, a 12 seed. Now, historically, those 12 seeds have been a bit of trouble. But I ain't worried about the Canes because I like the fact that they got a lot of resolve. They got a lot of explosive players on this team, so I think they're going to be just fine. Mr. Cunio, I put this question out there before, and I think we have to ask it. Given the success of what UM Hoops has had lately, is UM now a basketball school more than a football school?
No, it's not. Listen, when you pay your head coach $80 million, you're still a football school. You better believe that football's still bringing in the money. The investment is in football. Yes, basketball is doing well. They are doing great. They're having a ton of success. Jim Larinaga, yes, he is the man.
ACC regular season champs.
He gets it done. But no, when you're investing more than $100 million into your football program, guess what? You ask them. We're a football school too. It's great that they're well-rounded. Yeah. When baseball's doing well, when basketball's doing well, football's doing well. Like it's fantastic. But to quantify it as a football or a basketball school, I'm just
look, Larinaga's been around a lot, and he's done a great job with this program. Got a facility built there, and has put this team in the NCAA tournament time and time again. They won the ACC, as you said. They've been to the Elite Eight, and he's done it over a long period of time. And so if you think that's a basketball school, and he's been doing that over a long period of time, there'd be a little more chatter going around in Coral Gables about that basketball team. But all the focus still goes to football until Look, let me ask you this. You started looking at UM when? Like the last week of the season, last couple weeks of the season to see if they're going to get in the tournament?
No, we knew they were going to be in the tournament this year.
I love their team. Love Isaiah Wong. Little, kind of gets pushed around a little bit. But
here's what I'm going to say. say that.
But I think he's built a team and a program that can sustain and be in the tournament or near every year.
And that is what I'm talking about, because I think given the way it is in college football right now, it is so difficult to keep up with the Alabamas and the Georgias. You got to spend a ton of money year in and year out. And look, I know we're all caught up in the nostalgia of what the Canes used to be back in the day with Melvin Bratton and all the guys, Clinton Portis and so on. Those days are over, folks, and it is much easier to build a consistent winning basketball program down here in South Florida than it is a football program.
It doesn't make them a quote-unquote basketball school, because let's go back to when UM was winning baseball championships. Yeah. They were also winning football championships at the same time. You look at those years, they're very similar. And no, you would still say, hey, this is a football school, right? I'll give you another one, the Florida Gators.
Right.
They won 2 national championships in basketball.
That's true.
Your first, when I say Florida Gators, you think?
Football.
You think the Swamp.
Look, football's always going to be the biggest game, unless you're at a school like, say, Gonzaga or one of these schools that basketball really is the only thing they got.
Bread and
Butler, somewhere like that. But you're in a Division I school.
Right.
Football's always going to be the big.
Power 5.
It's always going to be.
You know what?
Always going to be.
You guys clearly did not see the video that the University of Miami basketball team put out before they went to the big dance. Do we have that video? Yeah, because the deal is those guys were saying, look, don't pick us. Yeah. Don't pick us to go all the way, because we're always overlooked. So keep overlooking us. And that's what
I listened to him. I listened to him, and I didn't pick him.
That's not. No, you can give them respect, but you just don't. I would have called it a basketball.
Look, I think this basketball program deserves a lot of respect, and not just this year. Yeah. Going back, I think what they've done to Miami. You go back. I remember watching them at the Knight Center, and they're playing on the stage. No one on the other side of the arena. I remember that. I'm going, what the hell is this?
They were doing Shakespeare the night before.
Right. Yeah. I think Gilbert Gottfried was on after them after the game.
Yeah, they have come a long way. And look, Jim Larrañaga deserves a lot of credit.
No doubt.
A lot of people would look at them and say, this guy's over the hill, and his players are going to tune him out because there's a big generation gap. Yeah. And quite the opposite, they clearly have brought in.
Leonard put this program on the map, and Jim Larrañaga elevated it to a status that they wouldn't have got to without him.
All right. We wish them the best. All right. Still ahead on Game Changers. We got some more stuff to talk about. Aaron Rodgers, the drama. Aaron Rodgers, he's going to be in the AFC East, Have you heard about that?
Maybe.
Oh, probably. Where else is he going to go?
AFC East can be the home of the quarterbacks.
It is. We're going to talk about Aaron Rodgers and a whole bunch of other stuff. And Mike's got his trending roulette segment coming up on Game Changers when we come back. We're having some fun here on Game Changers, talking about sports, not just locally but nationally, because let's face it, what happens around the rest of the NFL and the rest of the NBA, et cetera, affects the Miami Dolphins and their outlook here in South Florida. And of course, there's a lot of expectation that Aaron Rodgers, after 18 seasons with the Green Bay Packers, is about to head to the Big Apple and play for the New York Jets. He's given the Jets a list of plays that he wants them to run. He's told them the teammates he wants to play with, the guys he wants to throw the ball to. And he finally last week said that he told the Packers he wanted out. He's just waiting for them to work out the details with the Jets. So, Mr. Bocamper, what about Mr. Rodgers in the Big Apple? Is that something that the Miami Dolphins, this retooled, reloaded Miami Dolphin team, should be worried about?
Well, the AFC East is going to be quarterback heaven for this for the next couple of years if Aaron Rodgers can stay there for 2 years with everybody got in Buffalo and this. But look, I like the move. It's Brett Favre
all over again.
Chapter 2.
Yep. It is.
And it was almost identical to everything they know. For 2 years, they talked about, are you going to retire or not? Are you going to retire? And then they make the move. So they made the move. He's going to go to the Jets. If there's still a lot of things they need to work out to get this thing done. It may not happen until close to training camp with all the details they've got to get done. But I think it makes for a lot of excitement for us in the AFC East. And I think to me, Aaron Rodgers, I hope he has the same kind of a success that Brett Favre had when he left from the Green Bay Packers. Because if I remember right, I think we're at the Miami Dolphins, one of the teams that on the last game of the last week of the year knocked Brett Favre and the Jets off to keep him out of the playoffs.
You want to hear a true story? This whole dark room thing he did, I pitched that story. I asked our EP lead, I was like, hey, can I do a dark room for 3 days? No, I'm still here. It's a fascinating situation because it was weird. So he goes on the Pat McAfee show, and he basically says, "Hey,
I'm done.
I want to be a New York Jet."
Yeah.
It's weird how he kind of shifted the focus. I thought at first he's putting the pressure on the Packers to get the deal done, but I think the Jets now have all the pressure to make it happen.
I think that's true.
Because the draft is coming up.
Right.
That's the capital you have to trade, and that's kind of like almost like some sort of deadline there for him. But it's weird. The team wants to go to. He put all the onus on them.
If you're the Packers now, we just sit there and say, hey, you know what? We want 2 first-round picks, and we want this, and we want that.
Yeah.
No, we're not going to give you 2 first-round picks. And okay, just let him fly in the wind. Then we don't want him back. Yeah. We're not going to pay him.
You're not going to get 2 first-round picks for a 40-year-old quarterback. I don't care if it is
no, they're not. You're not. No. But that's what they're going to ask for, and they're going to, they're not going to give him away. I mean, they've got too much capital in him. They're not going to give him away.
I have to say, if I'm the Jets, I'm a little worried about Aaron Rodgers because the guy is so unpredictable. He's borderline moody, and you don't really know the guy who goes in a dark place and just sits there for a few days and decides, okay, I guess I'm going to come back and play in the NFL. It's just really he's bizarre to me.
He's 1 year away from two back-to-back MVPs. Yeah. He still plays at a high level. He's a quirky guy. He's going to do that. And look, if I'm the Jets, I got to get a commitment. You're going to be here 2 or 3 years. This can't be a one and done thing. We're not diving into this water that deep for a one and done. You got to give us a commitment to 2 to 3 years.
If you're going to go with a 40-something-year-old quarterback, Mike, are you liking a Tom Brady or are you liking an Aaron Rodgers?
Oh no, Aaron Rodgers.
By far.
I think Aaron Rodgers.
By far.
Yeah. I think
Brady's
he's got a little
time and again.
He's got a little bit more mobility, and I think
and look, I think we saw towards the end of the season with Tom Brady that ride's coming to a quick end.
When you got people coming at you like that, that'll scare you. All right, we'll see how that all works out. But you know what? The Dolphins got a great defensive backfield. They ain't worried about Aaron Rodgers or Josh Allen or whoever else.
Take the balls away from them.
And who? Mac Jones? Come on, man, please. All right. When we come back, we're going to play some trending roulette as Game Changers continues in a minute. All right, we're back on Game Changers. Time to play the Mike Cunha game called Trending Roulette, which we actually like because you know what? It's very random. Mike is the social media maven. He goes on his phone. He walks around the whole studio like this, quite honestly.
You see why I asked him to be put in a dark room for 3 days?
I'm surprised he doesn't bump into somebody because he's always walking around like this.
He's not the only guy walking around like that.
That is true.
Everywhere you go, man.
What you got, Mike?
It's like a spidey sense. I don't bump into things. All right, let's go. Pick a number 1 through 4.
Cam, go.
2. Mike Gesicki. He's trending right now.
I'm perplexed. I have been perplexed about Mike Gesicki now since training camp began last year. Here's a guy that we watched when Fitzpatrick was here, throwing the ball up in the air, him going up and taking 50-50 balls, scoring touchdowns, doing all those things.
Here's Cam.
And he had 75 catches last year.
The chairman of the Mike Gesicki fan club.
Look, I don't care if the guy doesn't block. I really don't. Put him on the slot, let him run routes, and throw him the football. I don't understand the lack of playing a talented player like that. He's going to end up somewhere, and he's going to be one of those guys that if you play him, you're going to go, geez, we had that guy. I do it every time I see Minka Fitzpatrick. We had that guy. We had that guy.
Now, I'll give you that. My own belief is that you have to be a complete football player. You can't just be a guy on this side only when the ball is coming your way, but otherwise you're a non-factor because the game is just too fast. The defenses are just too good. And if you have a guy out there who the other guys know is not going to block, you're giving them the advantage. So as much as I like Gesicki's spidey sets and his reach and all that, you got to have a guy who's a total football player.
Right. By the way, we're picking these topics on Twitter. It's whatever's trending. It's just kind of random. They pick a number. No one signed him yet.
Well, there you go.
That's probably why he's trending. All right, we got one more. This one's for you, JB, because it is March Madness. UVA already upset.
I could not believe that.
Furman got it.
Could be blowing up my bracket right away.
Bunch, man.
I had Virginia going a long way in the tournament, quite honestly.
Co-ACC champs.
You see that purple uniform coming at you from Furman, you know you got your hands full, Jim.
Exactly. Well, clearly they were a little nervous about it. I
said that like it's like a thing.
I had West Virginia going somewhere. They got knocked off. But you know what? It's all about who's there at the end. And I still think my
those two up. That's the beauty of March Madness.
It is.
That's exactly. At least for these 2 days or this weekend.
By the way,
upsets galore.
This is what Virginia does. Remember, they were the first 1 seed to get bounced, and then they win the national
title. Didn't they get knocked out with Ralph Sampson?
Yeah, they did.
In the first game.
Yeah, they sure did. Yeah.
And then they came back and won the national title.
Gonzaga's kind of done the same thing. I always pick them year in, year out.
Put your money on UVA for next season. That's what they do.
I got Alabama this year. I think that's a tough basketball team.
I forgot the fellow bracket.
Hey, everybody, thanks for tuning in for Game Changers. This is how it is week in and week out right here on the CBS Miami stream. Mike Cunio, Kim Bocamper, and JB breaking it down to you. We hope you join us week in and week out because we're going to keep having lots of fun. See you next time.